Hi everyone, Melissa here. In today's video, I want to talk about circumstances and how they can work in your favor, okay? How you can use circumstances to get you to your end goal of your manifestation. So really, if you saw my last video on Bridge of Incidents, this really ties in nicely with that. So check that out. Before I get into the video, we are still giving away a free course. You can find the link for that in the description of this video. It's how to find your blocks to manifest anything fast. And if you guys hear loud noises in the background, there's a bunch of fireworks going off because it is the week of the 4th of July. So everybody's celebrating. So apologies if it gets a little bit noisy, but it's a party. Okay, so circumstances. So the main point I wanted to make in this video is every circumstance can lead you to your manifestation if you will let it. So that's the real caveat, is if you will allow it, if you will make those assumptions about it. And I've got a couple examples. I was really inspired to do this video because I've had a lot of clients talking about contrary circumstances and how to navigate those. What do you do when something's showing up that's opposite of what you want? And also, I had a client call recently, and she had a really cool success story with a circumstance that was seemingly not something she would want, but it ended up leading to her manifestation in the craziest way. Okay, so circumstances. We say all the time that circumstances don't matter. And the reason we say that is because you are giving every circumstance meaning. So on its face, a circumstance is just a thing. It's just a meaningless thing, okay? And then it shows up in your experience, and you immediately decide, okay, what am I going to make this mean? What meaning am I going to give this circumstance? Like, for example, let's say the circumstance is it starts raining, okay? So you see that circumstance, and maybe you're happy because your initial assumption is, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. I just planted all these vegetables. Now they're going to get so much water and grow, and I don't even have to go out there with the hose and water them myself. So this is fantastic. So you're making that circumstance work in your favor towards your end manifestation of having a beautiful garden, okay? You could also look at that circumstance and think, oh my gosh, now my plans are ruined. I just did my hair. I'm going to go outside. My hair is going to get all wet. I can't wear the shoes I wanted. They're going to get ruined in the rain. The barbecue I was going to go to is going to get canceled because it's all thundery and rainy. You know, well, this is just a bummer. And now I'm not going to get what I want. And then from there, whatever follows that is going to be a bridge to your new assumptions. You know, whatever manifests from that is going to be from that perspective. So you have all the power all the time, which is why the circumstance itself does not matter, because you decide from there what direction your experience and your reality is going to go. You are the director of your experience in your reality based on your assumptions. Your assumptions are directing your experience constantly. You're constantly assuming things, experiencing things, assuming things, experiencing things. It's just constant. You're constantly selecting what you prefer, accepting what you prefer, accepting what you don't prefer. That's why you get a mix of good things, seemingly good things and bad things in life, because, you know, maybe we're not perfect and we don't always assume everything is perfect in our life. You can start to make that assumption. My life is perfect. Everything always goes my way. Absolutely. You know, general assumptions about your reality are fantastic. Blanket assumptions, I love them. Everything always works in my favor is one of my favorites. So definitely start introducing those into your mental diet. But you're constantly assigning meaning to things that happen, things that people say, things that people do, things that people don't say or do, things about yourself. You know, you're assuming things about yourself constantly, self-concept, and that plays out for you in your experience. And those storylines continue to play out unless you change your assumptions. And that's when the circumstances will shift. And that's when things will change. And it will all flow very naturally and effortlessly, because you don't have to worry about how. That's not your job. However, you can specifically manifest how things happen. You don't have to do it all the time, which takes a lot of pressure off. And that would be a lot of like logistical thinking, and that could get kind of exhausting maybe. So it's a good thing. Doesn't mean you can't decide the how. It just means you don't have to. Your higher self, the God within you, the universe, whatever you want to call it, it's going to facilitate that part of the manifestation. All you have to do is decide what you want and stick to your story until you get what you want in your 3D physical reality, until your manifestation shows up. Okay. So if you're questioning, how long do I need to persist? How long do I need to do this mental diet? If you're noticing you don't have what you want yet, you're not done persisting. You need to keep persisting, because noticing it's not here yet is acknowledging that it's not true yet, is reverting back to the assumption that you don't have what you want yet, which is telling the story that you don't want, right? So you persist until you get your manifestation, until it shows up, until it becomes visible in your experience. So the client success story I had earlier today, in fact, I just thought was a really great example of how a circumstance can seem, number one, completely unrelated to your manifestation, and number two, something that you don't prefer, or like something contrary to what you would prefer, but then still work out so you get your manifestation in the end. If you let it. That is the trick, if you let it. Okay. So this client had the intention, her manifestation was she wanted to see a specific person before she left on a trip. Okay. And she decided this this desire, like less than 24 hours between the time she decided she wanted it and when she was leaving on this trip. Okay. So that's a seemingly small window. And there was some resistance that came up, well, this person has to work. They're not going to be able to leave work to come see me. It's going to be too late. How are we going to squeeze it in the time frame? Maybe they don't want to see me. Maybe they're going to be too tired. There's a bunch of story going on there. But this client decided to push all those thoughts away, all those assumptions away, and stick to the story, to the knowing that this is my reality. I decide what everything means. I want to see this person before I leave for my trip. It's going to happen because I always get what I want. I'm definitely going to see them before I leave. That's just what's going to happen. Period. Okay. It's done. It's true. That's what's happening. Okay. That's how it is. So she stuck to that story. She went on about her day, continued to finish, the last minute details to get ready for her trip, packing and such. And she ended up taking her son out to go, I think it was swimming, somewhere where they were out and barefoot. Okay. And while they were out, her son got a splinter in his foot. And so they went back home and she wasn't able to help him get the splinter out. So she thought, okay, well, this is not ideal. We're about to leave for this trip. I don't want him to have an irritated foot and maybe it gets infected on the trip. It bothers him. It could become a bigger issue. So I probably should call the doctor before we go. Probably should take him to see the doctor just so they can take care of it before we go. Okay, so here's where it gets interesting. The doctor that she had to take her son to is the specific person she had wanted to see before her trip. So that doctor happens to be the doctor for her son. So see how, so she took her son to the doctor and boom, manifestation, there it is. Okay. She's seeing this person before she leaves on her trip. So that circumstance on its face, just a circumstance on its own, seemed like it had nothing to do with her desired manifestation. But it led her there because she held the assumption, one, that she was getting what she wanted, that her manifestation was true. She was going to see this person before her trip. It's true. It's the way it is. It's done. It's true. And two, she didn't make the circumstance mean that she couldn't have what she wanted or that she wasn't going to have what she wanted. Okay. Wasn't going to get what she wanted. So something seemingly contrary, something seemingly unrelated, something seemingly opposite to your desire can always be part of the bridge of incidents to get you what you want if you will let it. Everything is always working for you. So something I want you to think about every time a circumstance shows up is every circumstance is for me, is showing up for me to get my manifestation. Every circumstance is showing up for me to get my manifestation. I'll say it one more time. Every circumstance is showing up for me to get my manifestation. If you will just hold firm in that assumption and then keep telling the story you want about what's true about your manifestation, boom, you are going to see it show up so fast. That manifestation for that client happened in like an hour. I don't even know. It was so quick. Okay. And the best part of this story is she also ended up seeing that specific person 2 more times before she left for her trip. And they were not related to the splinter. It just other circumstances that happened that kept proving her manifestation to her over and over again because she let it. Okay. So you can always get what you want if you will allow it. If you will stop finding comfort in that unwanted story. If you will stop identifying with that same familiar thought pattern, stop reacting the same way to circumstances and start deciding something better is true. You know, I challenge you to start to assume better. Ask yourself when something is triggering you, what better assumption could I make right now about this circumstance? How can I assume better about this person? How can I assume better about this thing? How can I remind myself and decide that it's always working in my favor and it's just part of the bridge of incidents to get me what I want? Okay. So that's your challenge. That's really the point I wanted to drive home in this video is nothing has to stand in your way and you're the only one that decides if something is. You're the only one that decides if something is preventing you or going to prevent you from getting your manifestation. You know, that's where the whole free will thing comes into play too. You're the only one experiencing your reality. It's coming through your eyes, through your perception, because of through your assumptions. So you're the one who has free will to change your perspective on something, to change your assumptions on something, which will then result in circumstances changed. Okay. So it's your free will to decide what new meaning you're going to give something. What are you going to change about what you're believing is true so you can get what you want? That's really what you should be asking yourself. Okay. So I intend this video helped you. I just thought it was really good demonstration of how a circumstance can seem like it has nothing to do with your manifestation, and it can also seem bad. And as long as you don't let it, as long as you keep firm to your wanted story and assume that everything always works out for you and it's all working in your favor, it will. It always will. That's the only way this works. Okay. So, all right. I think that's it for this video. I intend this helped you. And if you guys need help figuring out what stories you're telling, changing some assumptions, I would love to meet you and help you. I'm available for one-on-one coaching. You can find the link for that in the description of this video. I also have some amazing courses out, some affirmation bundles. My newest course is really great on how to build up your self-concept, which really just boils down to you staying in your power, you knowing your power as creator in your reality and staying in it. Okay. And manifesting what you want on a consistent basis. So check that out. Link is in the description of this video. I intend you have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you in the next one.